It's 1:30. I'm going to start the music.
Hello.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to South Point Business Park in just near Gatwick Airport in Crawley. This is the Chagossian Voices conference that's taking place, and welcome to everyone. We apologise that we may have a few technical difficulties. We've had all sorts of things holding us up this morning, but we hope that you'll enjoy what you hear, and that you'll all be able to not only learn something from the Chagossians as they speak, but also take part in the end when we'll hope to have a discussion. The conference is really in two parts. That begins with the testimonies and voices of the Chagossians about their history, and then there's a discussion about the main issues that seem to be affecting them, particularly in the UK at the moment, but also globally. And I'm going to begin by introducing myself. I'm Patrick Allen, and the panelists are now going to introduce themselves, starting with Jimmy.
Hi everyone, my name is Luis Elise. Both my parents were born in the Chagossians. I came to the UK on the 22nd of June 2003, and I'm the community leader of Manchester Chagossian Community Group, and we're working all together on this platform with the Chagossian Voices.
Hi, my name is Mylene Augustine. My parents born in the Sagos, both parents. I'm from Crawley. I'm the chairperson of the Chagossian Women Welfare Association. We work together with the Chagossian Voices.
Hello, anyone. My name is Modest Alexis. I'm the native I born in Chagossian Island. I've been in UK in 2008. I live in Crawley, but I am here to represent the voice of Chagossian. Thank you.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Frankie Bontemps. I'm a Chagossian by descent. My mom was born on the island of Chagossia. I moved to the UK in 2006, and presently I'm living in Crawley.
Hi, good morning everybody. I'm Jean-François Nilan. I'm one of the third generation of Chagossian, and I've been in the UK for 15 years. My grandmother was born in Chagossia, and my granddad was born in Peros Panos.
Okay, and Frankie's going to tell us now what Chagossian Voices is and what they're hoping to achieve.
Yeah, the Chagossian Voices is a platform like regrouping several community groups and individuals to represent and to give a voice to the ordinary Chagossian, not just the so-called leaders in the community. This platform is open to all Chagossian worldwide, and we welcome everyone to join us.
Thank you. We're going to start by talking a little bit about the islands and life on the islands. But I wonder if Modeste could say, first of all, a bit about the first song that we heard from Lisette.
Yes, I'm just present the songs. The songs we start the meetings today. That song's like it look like a sadness song because I see that song's made by my auntie. She's passed away now, but what I say to you, the voice is still there for us to say that voice and continue to do the work. Thank you.
We're going to hear we hope you heard that song. There were so many confusing things going on our screen at that point. We need to talk a little bit about the life on the islands and who are the Chagossians, and Frankie's going to launch into that.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about like the life of the Chagossian island. So far, like myself, my mom was born there. So I was born in Mauritius, but whatever they used to talk to me about when my grandma about life there. So briefly, I would say that the Chagossian led a very peaceful, undisturbed way of life on the Chagos. They enjoyed good health. They were happy with the little that they had, a simple way of life, and they work cheerfully. I mean, they live in huts that they built, made up of wooden frame and coconut palm leaves. Yeah. And there was a small hospital in the school, part of this community. Fish was abundant on all the islands, and they earned a living in the coconut plantation and by fishing. They fishing, rearing their own vegetable and poultry. I mean, they were exchanging food, goods between themselves, like a sort of barter system. They were, where they work, actually, they were given like vouchers for their work in the coconut plantation, and which they would exchange for food and other stuff when they needed in the shop on the island. They were perhaps one of the last people on the planet that were not corrupted by the power of money itself, which is like quite rare, yeah. And the society was matriarchal, with women having a major say on the bringing up of their children. You know, there was a strong family ties between the people, and usually after a long week of work, they would gather during the weekend, nighttime, and where they would sing and dance. This is very important in our culture and the way of life, where they would express themselves. They will even like, they could consume and the drink that they made themselves. So like myself, like a Chagossian by descent, I hope that one day me, or perhaps one of the next generation, will be able to enjoy this way of life. I hope by God willing. Thank you.
And why did the Chagossians have to leave the island?
I mean, you know, because like in 1965, they started to have a negotiation between the Mauritian colonial government and at that time and the British government. So Chagos was part of the deal for Mauritius to be given independence. The Chagos had to be detached from Mauritius. So, well, my point is that when I think about all our fathers and mothers, yeah, what they've been through, like, you know, their future was decided without even they were not knowing what happened. This has been done upon their back. Yeah, they didn't have any clue. They were just one day said like, okay, you have to take all your belongings, whatever you have, put them in a boat, yes, throw them in the docks in Mauritius, throw them in the Seychelles. Some even went in jail, I've been told, in the Seychelles, what I read. Yeah, and this is very disgraceful. Thank you.
Enfin, nous, Diego, nous disait aller. Et là, nous retirons le bateau même moi. Nous retirons le bateau même moi. Après, nous commençons à nous bonnes affaires. Je n'ai pas besoin de San Diego. Je n'ai pas de San Diego. On tourne, nous la malle, les dimanches, puis tout la même. Aller à Pérou.
Et c'est là quand nous déporté Diego, ok? Quand on tient du monde Diego, ça vient d'envoyer du monde à Perros avant,
Oui,
après il y a la visite Maurice.
après on a pris Maurice. Les chiens, c'est une plus les chiens. Les casses à tête des chiens, les chiens, une chien, c'est le cocolo avec Diego. Oui, les chiens mauvais. Les autres commencent à mettre tous les chiens à l'autre.
C'est du monde Diego. Il n'avait pas de Perros.
Non, partout du monde, il y a un monde qui est dans Cécile.
Oui.
Ça bateau qui nous suit, on va dire sur Cécile.
Okay, who would like to talk about the arrival in Mauritius?
When the Chagossian arrived, obviously, in Mauritius and Seychelles, they were promised like so many things, like their land, their animals, and all them things, houses. But when they arrived in Mauritius, there was nothing for them. You know, they have to fend for themselves. They were dumped in the slum of Mauritius, in Bridgetombo, in Poitoussap, Boismorchon, and the house was in a bad state. There was even people, some Mauritian people, writing on the wall saying, the pigs are coming and we don't want them here. That was the kind of treatment the Chagossian received in Mauritius. And the Chagossian has always been regarded as a second-class citizen in Mauritius, victimized of discrimination, people always laughing at them, and just take the mickey out of them all the time. And they did not have nowhere to turn to, or where to go, or how to find jobs. In Chagossian, they were living free, rent-free, and in Mauritius, they have to find their own thing.
Et en plus, les temps où les temps nous vivons Maurice, moi-même, moi, tout dit quand c'est misère nous passer, quand c'était famille pour moi, tombe dans la drogue. Et quand tu t'es nous pays, parce que la drogue, parce que la dignité, nous parlons de casse pour nous vivre. On sait ce qu'ils ont envie de manger, nous manger. Moi, nous faisons poisson de nous manger. Les gars, nous sacrés parce que nous pas gagné tout ça à manger. Tellement nous la misère, nous pas connaître nous faire. Il a moi, nous c'est avec ce 4 enfants. Nous les médecins, on continue à faire enfants. Nous vivons ensemble dans celle de la case et mon maman a 5 enfants. On a encore appelé ça bien. Nous tirons parti dans la police. Nous passons causer avec façon causer qui va nous causer Maurice. Il va pareil. Il y a un problème. On va nous chien là. Je dis toi. Je pense que bouffonne toi. Je t'accorde de sortir qui paye de sortir. De tu gagnes à gasser pour tout ça là. Parce que tu vas n'habituer les gens. Ça met qu'à te morcer ici, dans ce pays, qui gagne pour toi, qui gagne pour tes pas qu'ils appellent nous.
Modest, what do you remember of life in Mauritius?
Like life in Mauritius, like Patrick, what I say to you, like I say to all the people to listen to us, that woman she is talking at the moment, she is the last sister of my mom, because I'm the witness of her when she facing that kind of difficulty in Mauritius. To live in one house, 13 people to live in one house is not easy, even to find job in Mauritius. But I grow up with them, I see a lot, they're suffering a lot in Mauritius, and they cannot find the solution for the difficulty they're facing in Mauritius.
And you worked in Mauritius as well, didn't you?
Yes, I'm working in Mauritius. Even when I grow up with them at the age of 10, I see some of my cousin and me together. We work in a company. We do rattan worker. But that company, when because our family is suffering a lot, because I see that my mom cannot facing the reality of life of every day in Mauritius.
travail. Où tu manges, où tu bois bien, avec nos enfants. Où tu as 3 enfants. Tout tu vis heureuse, sans tracas. Nous pas un problème, nous pas une difficulté. Moi, je vais travailler avec l'administrateur là-bas. On bien travaille, tu bien content, moi. Mais, n'arrivons pas dans mon pays, dans le Maurice. Et quand on vit Maurice, on bien pas dans difficulté, dans la contrariété. Dans la pauvreté, la calpe, on dit avec mon maman, et mon enfant. Nous donne seul là, ça, maman, papa, mon dessert, mon frère, avec mes 3 enfants. Tout dormi dans seul là, ça. Et après là, mon Michel tout ensemble avec moi. Après là, il pas capable de sentir la misère. Il quitte nous aller. Nous arrivons, nous avons gagné la case, un de nos cousins, donne-moi la case. On a resté mon enfant. Il demandait la table à manger comme ça. Moi, avec mon enfant, dormir à la table là. Puis manger dehors. Nous vivons comme ça. Aux enfants, pas quand tu appelles l'école. Nous disons quitte l'école, à travail, dans le côté. Et là, il a 10 ans. Moi, je travaille depuis le matin dans Maurice, jusqu'à tout la case du monde. On vient pas se misère dans Maurice. On a bien maltraité dans le travail, maltraité avec du monde. Bien passé. Mais pour moi, dans mon pays, je ne peux pas passer tout ce problème là. Même quand tu as 10, 11 enfants ici, moi, tu es dans mon pays, mes enfants, tu peux bien vivre.
Frankie, you were going to talk about the compensations that were made to Chagossians in Mauritius.
Yeah, even your compensation, like if we can call it compensation, yeah, this is like peanuts. What our family received. Yeah? Like in 1972, then the British government gave like 650,000 pounds, and we don't know still now for which obscure reason that this money being kept until 1978. And for these women, yeah, the Chagossian women, we have to give like big credit to them. They are the ones who started the struggle, yeah. And in 1978, they have to protest in Mauritius, yeah. They have to, it stays like a strike, yeah. They've been beaten by the police, gas, sent to prison, while they were asking for their basic. They were just asking, they're Jew, yeah. And I don't understand how a country who says that Chagossian or Mauritian citizen can treat its citizen like that. Like myself, I'm a Mauritian. I'm very disgusted when I see what's been done to like my people here.
Modest, your mother was in the protests.
Yes, what I said to you, like when my mother entered that protection, like that movement of Chagossian movement, but she faced a lot of difficulty in with my father. Even my father not because of Chagossian problems. But until my father passed away, my dad and my father cannot return back together. That the things make me, I feel pain when I see that, when my family divide to two because of the problems of
Regarding the compensation, yeah. Even in 1982, the British government gave, they call it the full and final compensation, which was like £4 million, yeah. and there's £4 million. If we add together all the money that the Chagossian receive, yeah, it should, perhaps in today's money, it should be like £1,100. Is that compensation for someone who lose everything, yeah? Left their homeland, their house, everything. So, and even in this 4 million, we don't know how much the Mauritian government stole from the Chagossian, yeah?
Milan.
La loi Tsonzi, there was a change in law. British government didn't, the British Overseas Territories Act 2002, qui donne ban natif qui finit le Sagos droit pour venir dans UK, gave all the native born Chagossian right of abode in the UK. Mais this ban deuxième génération qui est né en 1969 et 1985 qui gagne sa droit là. However, only the second generation Chagossian born between 1969 and 1985 were entered to the same right. Là, nous avons l'opportunité pour nous changer la vie, pour gagner une bonne la vie. We have the opportunity to change our life and to have a better life. Moi, je suis mariée, j'ai 4 enfants. Mes enfants nés dans Maurice. I'm married, I have 4 children. My children born in Mauritius. Et j'ai 6 enfants qui sont nés dans l'Angleterre. I have 6 grandchildren born in England. Je suis né dans Maurice parce que mes parents sont exilés aux îles. I'm born in Mauritius because my parents exiled in the island. Mon papa né dans Chagossia, mon maman né dans Perros-Banus. My dad born in Chagossia and my mom born in Perros-Banus. I have a difficult life in Mauritius. La vie est bien difficile dans Maurice. Moi, je travaille comme chef. I work like chef. Et mon mari travaille dans l'industrie du sucre. My husband worked in a sugarcane factory. Comme on entend dire qu'Alan peut faire groupe pour venir l'Angleterre, when I heard that Alan Van Catterson organizing group to come to England, là, j'ai décidé pour me venir de l'Angleterre, pour me gagner une bonne la vie, une meilleure la vie pour moi et un l'avenir pour l'éducation de mes enfants. Là, j'ai décidé pour venir. Now I decided to go to have a better life, and a better education to my children. I came en 2004. Moi, je suis là en 2004. My first house in the UK is in Gatwick North Airport. Mon premier la case de l'Angleterre, c'est dans Gatwick Airport. Nous restons 8 jours avec beaucoup de problèmes, beaucoup de difficultés, beaucoup de souffrances. I stay 8 days with a lot of difficulty, stress, and painful. I'm left my family, all my children, my husband, my mom and dad. Bon, quitte toute ma famille dans Maurice, mon capable de venir redonner bon la vie. So 8 jours que nous restons dans l'aéroport, the 8 days we stay in the airport. After that, Alan bring them to the council, Kolebolo Council. So 8 jours que nous restons dans l'aéroport, Alan amène nous dans Kolebolo Council. And then the Kolebolo Council give us an hotel to stay. I stay 6 months in the hotel. Kolebolo Council tu donne nous un hôtel pour nous rester 6 mois. But the 6 months is very painful, is stress, because you left all your family. Ça 6 mois que moi tu resté là, c'est bien difficile et que moi tu quittes toute ma famille. Après 6 mois, after 6 months, we got a house and I'm got a job in Gatwick Airport as cleaner. Après 6 mois, mon gagne la case et mon résident airport et mon gagne la case et mon gagne travail comme moi travail comme cleaner. I'm work hard to save money to bring my family here. My day off, I'm work. Moi travaille beaucoup et comme je n'ai pas day off, comme pas de travail, comme je off, moi travaille pour capable save cash pour faire mon famille venir. 2005, my 4 children and my husband came to the UK. En 2005, mon mari et mes enfants sont venus. Là, je sens un peu moins stress. Now, I feel better because I have all my family with me. 2008, I'm bring my dad here, but my dad wanted to come here in the UK. He said to me, I'm exiled in my island, and now you say me, come to the UK. Mon papa ti dit moi, mon exilé l'homme la terre, à cela te péri dit moi vin the UK. And my dad, he's ill, he's unwell. Mon papa ti malade, et il parti bien. He said to me, when I'm dying, please just bury me and put my ashes in the sea. I can go back to my island. Si moi, brille-moi et prends-moi la sanze dans la mer pour me retourner l'homme la terre. I see all the painful stress they have. Moi, je trouvais vraiment que quantité de souffrance il y en a dans cette figure. La vie ici dans l'Angleterre, où il y a beaucoup d'opportunités. Here in England, we have a lot of opportunity. If you have a British passport, you have housing benefits and child benefits. Dans l'Angleterre, quand on a un passeport british, où il y a un bénéfice qui s'appelle housing benefit qui aide pour payer la case et aussi une pension pour les enfants. My children start go to school and they have a good education and a good job now. Mes bons enfants, ils ont une bonne éducation et ils ont un bon travail. Mais si mon parti vient là, si mon parti persévérer, si mon parti la guerre, par mon persévérance, si j'ai dit mon récit. If I'm not came by myself, fighting to my children's life, but they haven't this education because they not prepare anything for us, for our arrival.
Yes, Jimmy, what was your arrival like in the UK?
Right, I came to the UK on the 22nd of June 2003. I ended up sleeping at Gatwick Airport for a week. After that, I slept at the social service, outside the social service in Crawley for another week. People was throwing up egg at us because people did not know why we were there, what's the reason we were here. After all this suffering in Mauritius, the Chagossians still suffer again in UK, which talk about human rights and want to help the world. But what about the Chagossians? The government knows, since obviously the Chagossian was forcefully removed in their island, they know about the Chagossian situation. And 52 years later, we came here and we're still facing the same situation. Chagossian came here for a better life, but what is the government doing? The government say they want to help the Chagossian. By doing what? I came here, like I said, I ended up sleeping 15 days on the street. Did not know where to go, who to turn to, who can help us. And today, still, when the Chagossian come to England, in the UK, they're still facing the same issues. The government gave us like 40 million, but none of that money has been spent properly. All the Chagossian people's asking is for a cultural center, to promote our heritage, our culture, our tradition, our way of life, which we can't do in the UK. And that's why we're here today, to ask the government if they are really here to help us. So please give us them center where we can promote our heritage and our tradition.
And Modest, what was it like for you when you first came to England, and how are you living now?
For me, Patrick, what I can say to all the people to listen to us, like our sister can say, "Oh, I have a better life." I cannot say I have a better life in UK, because the better life I came to UK in 2008. After 2008, I joined my family there in UK. After that, in 2009, I faced difficulty with the British people on the street. They're beating my children, and the police is coming. They have 19 young British guys just beating one of my son and my daughter on the street. We're facing always say the word racist word. Where you coming from? I don't want you to live in Bubus. The things like that, like beat us with eggs, with stone. We cannot go even to the shop. And that time the police enter that problems to move us in Bubus, to put us in Southgate. But after Southgate, when I stayed in Southgate in 2012, after 2012, the landlord need the house. He say, I give you a notice to say, oh, I need my house. I face another the difficulty. All my stuff, I cannot carry it because I don't have place to put it. I just put all my stuff in the bin. I said to my wife, now I don't know where we can go with the family. And that time the council say, I don't have place to give you. But my daughter have a house in Broadfield, and the council tell me to go and live with your daughter. And that time when we leave the house, we have six people live with me inside my family. My wife is blind completely. That time, the council refused to give me a house. Like he said, go and live with your daughter. And my daughter can give me the two single room, and the three people live in the single room. My boy live in another single room. And me and my wife, she's blind. She sleep on the floor, but I can do nothing for that. After something like 1 year after that, they give me a temporary accommodation in Bubus. After that, my wife is into the hospital. When my wife is into hospital, that time I look after the children and face the difficulty to go to the hospital with them. And one of my son, she like music. She do well with the music in the school. But that time I give him hope. I say, oh, you can maybe you will have a good future with the music and continue to play. But he practiced at home when the council just came at home, and with the belief said to me like, oh, you cannot stay with that place because you make bond in that place, and your children. And they put me outside the house, and even the house is not on the name of my name. It is the contract is on the name of my wife. My wife don't know nothing. She's in the hospital. But that time they put me outside. But I challenged them to say, "Oh, if you don't know where to go with me and my family, but I will sleep on the car park." But that time they take a decision to put me in the hotel near Hasda. But when they put me in the hotel, I stayed 4 years in that hotel. Me and my children, 2-bedroom, 2 boys in 1 bedroom, me and another boy into another room. And my wife don't know nothing if I'm out, because I don't know, I cannot tell her we're facing that kind of difficulty. But that time, after that, my wife, I am the one signed the paper to say to the doctor, I am the one we take care of my wife. But the separation, when they put me in the hotel, I cannot take care of my wife. And every day I just go to the hospital, even to go and see her. After that, like the problems I facing after 3 days, after that, they give me permission to my wife to return back home. When my wife entered back home, after 3 days, my wife passed away.
Et maman est enfant Chagossien. Et mon décision qui vient en Angleterre, parce qu'il y avait un risque un peu difficile. Et comme on vient en Angleterre, on travaille bien. En l'année 2015, on vient en Angleterre, on travaille bien, grand matin, santé. Pour réciter mon famille, mon mari, mes enfants. Et là, il reste Maurice à cause de l'âge. Because it is ici depuis 6 mois. Et là, on devait faire application pour mon garçon à cause de l'âge. Et puis, on a discuté quand il est ici, de nous faire application pour lui. Et bon, après, c'est une dizaine résultés. Et pour mon bonhomme, après, on fait application. Lui, des fois, on fait application, la deuxième fois qu'il nous reste bien sur le visa. On disait, paye beaucoup avocat. On dit, merci, reste bien sur le visa, mon bonhomme, mais même pas un petit travail. Il travaille à la maison, pour temps. Et pour mon garçon, il installait mon propriétaire. Et il est stressé, il va faire un année. Pour multiplier Maurice, je disais sans ça la loi là, parce qu'il est séparé avec moi, et il a des enfants. Elle n'a pas de récipité, mais j'aime là, mon propre pays, du tout scalaire. Mais je disais pas capable de faire une séparation entre familles, faire division. Et mon garçon aussi, ici, il fait stressé, il n'est pas connu s'il peut gagner ce visa ou pas. Et maintenant, je suis ici, je ne pas connaître, parce que je n'ai pas moyen de faire ce visa là pour le moment. Mais nous sommes contents qu'ils aient sans ça la loi là pour nous capables de vivre ensemble, une vraie famille, sans division.
So despite, as the government say, you know, the Chagos have been British islands since 1812, immigration to the UK for Chagossians is really complicated. Would somebody like to take that on, Frankie?
Yeah, in 2018, our MP, Mr. Henry Smith, drafted like a bill. It's been introduced on the 18th of January 2018, yeah? Been drafted to correct the complex and unfair nationality law that made it difficult for second and later generation of Chagossian born in exile to get the same nationality status as the first Chagossian born in exile. We had like great expectation that this bill will finally correct a terrible injustice. Unfortunately, it didn't reach the second reading stage in Parliament. I don't know, perhaps at that time, this was not an important issue for the politician. but they don't realize the devastating effect that's having on families in the community, in my community here. I know how many cases of people like living here illegally because most of us, unfortunately, has not the opportunity to go to school in Mauritius. We are doing low paid jobs, earning around 16,000 per year. And we can't afford to meet this financial requirement. For an example, like myself, I have three kids and a wife. If tomorrow I want to move to the UK, I would need to earn £27,200. So I will have to work days and nights. Even that, I don't think I will reach that amount. There's also the language barrier. Yeah. Even this language requirement for this, language requirement instead of barrier, for this life in the UK. Even English people don't know, can't pass this life in the UK test. And this is a burden upon us, yeah, burden on families. And lastly, one thing I would like to add, like the Chagos Island was and is still a British territory since 1812, when it was ceded to the Great Britain by France. So technically, all generation of Chagossian are British subject, yeah. So nowadays, when we're applying for a visa for our spouse and children, we are told to meet all criteria and eligibility requirements. But my question is, where were all the British law when a whole population of 2,000 people, yeah, were forced to exile, where they were deprived from their rights as British citizens, as human beings? Were they treated as a British subject at that time, or Tarzan or Men Fridays? I don't know, between 1967 and 73. So I'm very angry when I see how many people are still struggling in my community. I urge the MPs and all those who are listening, you have the power, because all the successive government keep on saying what was done to the Chagossian people was wrong.
So could you explain what this bill that Henry Smith was taking through Parliament would have made possible?
Yeah, to grant citizenship to all the generation of Chagossian, like second, third born in exile, because there's still lots of them in Mauritius. Families are being divided. Like myself, for example, I have two sisters, yeah? My mother was born on the Chagos, and I don't know who, a British official, put a cut-off date. So this is like the 25th of April, 1969. Like myself, I was born on the 13th of May. So if I were born like 2 weeks earlier, I would not be entitled to British citizenship. But this is very unfair. So they are back in Mauritius, and there are lots of them in this situation. So I urge you, MPs, people in power, please listen to us. Yeah, we are fed up. As we said, 52 years, enough is enough. You can do something. All successive government keep on saying like what was done to the Chagossian was wrong. But today you are in power. You can correct this injustice. Please hear our voice.
Milan.
What you call a family need to be all together. You took the island to protect the world. What about our protection? That is my message. I want to say, can you stop this suffering, stop dividing our family. Let us have a good life. Let us have our freedom.
Okay, well, we can move on now. We've sort of told the story a bit, and a lot of the issues have come up out of that story that you've expressed so eloquently. Thank you very much for that. And I'm noticing also the messages that are coming through on the chat and the comments and the questions. There's only me and one other person sitting here having a bit of difficulty responding, but we'll try and address those at the end. But perhaps we could move on now to what are seen as the most pressing concerns, the biggest concerns for the Chagossian community. We've touched on immigration is one big thing. So if somebody could say something on that, what you would actually like to have happen on immigration.
Yeah, I mean, the government obviously forcefully removed the Chagossian off the island. So they had it terrible. People still suffer, whether it's in Mauritius or in the UK. I think it's about time the government took its responsibility, because they keep playing game with us, with FCDO, Bayot, Home Office, everyone we speak to, they keep saying it's not their department. But the problem Chagossian still facing today is the government still dividing the Chagossian. I mean, with them law, like Frankie talked before, yeah, there's so many people in Manchester, in Crawley, wherever they are, they can't bring their family to the UK because of this restriction. One thing like the government needs to take into account, and all the people in the world, Chagossian can't go back to their island, not because they don't want to, because they can't go. We can't go there. They're stopping us from going from our island, but they still divide us and putting so much regulation and law, so people are still suffering. I think it's about time they stop this and make it easier for Chagossian to come here. I don't see the reason why Chagossians should spend so much money where we're all in like low-paid job, and we can't afford the amount of money they're asking us for. That's the reason we're still like divided and families still breaking up. Like for instance, in the UK, if your mom and dad don't live together, you allow a passport. And the Chagossian, because they were not married, so many children can't have a passport just because of that. And like I said, people ask us like, what are you doing here? Why you come here for? The fact is we can't go home. We want to go home. Chagossian don't want to be here. So if you're keeping us here, at least treat us as human beings and stop all them law and regulation, because we're not like the other, you know, like asylum people or the nation who come to the UK. Our cases are different, completely different. We want to go back home. If you can't return us back home, it's time you start looking after the Chagossian people. Thank you.
Thank you. Apparently, Henry Smith is on the call. Welcome to you, Henry, to this meeting. The technology is a bit beyond us to have a conversation with you about it. But if you were able to put a message up or something like that, that we could all see about where this is heading. I've heard it might become part of some sort of post-Brexit immigration bill or something, but it would be interesting to know what the plan is in relation to Chagossian, because it does seem to be sort of the key issue. But there are other issues as well. There's physical health, mental health. I wonder if anybody would like to talk on that.
Yeah. Like I said, Chagossian never settle outside their own island. They're still struggling, wherever, like I said, even if it's in UK or in Mauritius. In Chagos, people was eating fresh food. And Chagossian cooking, we don't have oil. You could see the picture of a Chagossian native. We did not have gym in the UK, in Chagos, yes. But when you look at the Chagossian, you could see how strong, how powerful they were. They had six-pack. There was no like, you know, people was not like poorly or, you know, needed like treatment like diabetes and all that. People was healthy. And you can see that in Mauritius, people, Chagossian natives still living like so many lived 100 years, at least 6 Chagossian, you know. So now they come to Mauritius or whether it's UK, the food is different. The culture has been lost. And a lot of people, Chagossian people, has ended up as alcohol addicts, drug addicts. And like I said, they never recovered from all them wrong things done to them. So how can you live a decent life with all them things you face? And we need, obviously, better infrastructure to help the Chagossian people, like for their own well-being.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to add on physical and mental health as well?
Yeah, like Jimmy was saying about the Chagossian. We know when all of the Chagossian came to Mauritius and thinking about the tragedy, what happened on them on the island. Some of them, when they got to Mauritius, start drinking. That was like a way for them to ease themselves and to distress. But the way they were living on the island, they work Monday to Friday, and then they will have like a reunion, a committee will get together, playing some music, share the food, get together, and that's a way they normally distract themselves. And this is good for their well-being as well, but they don't have these facilities anymore. In the UK, and they can't speak English. There's nowhere for them to go, and they can't meet anybody else. But I thought like having a cultural center for them, that's a place for them to come and sit down together and get together and share the knowledge and pass on to the kids, the grandchildren, and keep that culture going on.
Yes, thank you very much. Anybody else want to add on physical and mental health? I was thinking also about education, because that's another big issue. Having missed out on education in Mauritius, but also I was a teacher in Crawley, so I know there's a lot of Chagossians hardly went to school because of the way the system was operating at the time of arrival. So would anybody like to speak to that?
Yeah, going back when they were on the island, they had school and everything, like they did not need to work, but they were still going to school. Now, the life they had an easy life on the Chagos, but when they got to Mauritius, like the guy been mentioned earlier on, there was some compensation was made available for them, but they did not get what was meant to be given to them. And this kind of play a big part on this, where they had like a difficult life. So they had to be working hard and they had to stop school. Children had to be working to help their parent to be able to survive. And this is been going on since get to Mauritius, and that's what played a big part as well, where they did not make going to school and having like a good education.
What would be useful for Chagossians in terms of education? What sort of things would be good to provide for them?
The Chagossians asking, like in the community, we've got a lot of people with trade jobs and skill jobs. Unfortunately, they don't have the qualification required and the certificate required to work in the UK. That's why they end up doing like low-paid job, and they can't afford to go to learn a course because they have a family to fend for. So therefore, if the government could put some access course for them people who missed out on the education, so they can have a qualification, you know, to do a better job, to come out of poverty. And obviously, the FCDO keeps saying to us, like, they're going to do this course and this course, but Chagossian people, we need different course, because to start with, if we want to better ourselves, we need a GCSE, and we don't have that. So if the government could provide a special course for that, and for all them people, you know, over 25 who can't go to school, like got language barrier, if the government could help them, you know, providing like just a qualification where the person could actually do a better job. So that's what we're asking for. I know there's a lot of like, you know, courses that people can apply to, but because of language barrier in our situation, so if the government really want to help, that's what we're asking for. Just put a special course just for the Chagossian people.
Anyone else on education?
Yeah, I think education is the key for success. We can see there's a lot of Chagossian children nowadays. When they go to the UK, some of them been going to university and did not have this chance back in Mauritius. But there are still like a handful of them like struggle to afford to go to education. Maybe like, I don't know, provide some bursary or put some money aside for people to go to university.
I think it's probably right to mention the fact that there is this 40 million package that was proposed, and I wondered if somebody could just give us the background to that package, and then talk. Frankie?
Yeah, I mean, this package came, I mean, I'm gonna do a recap, like, you know, in 2010, no, 2012, I think, when the government announced like they're gonna, sorry, 2014, yeah, when they announced they're gonna do a feasibility study on resettlement on the Chagos, which was undertaken by KPMG, yeah, and at that time, I mean, they came here in Crawley, Manchester, Mauritius, Seychelles, everywhere, have a consultation with the Chagossian, yeah. And at that time, like myself, I put my name down. I said, and the thing is that for the first time in an independent report, it'd been Chagossia was mentioned like the possible place where, or because before Chagossia was off limit, so that Chagossian could go to live there. I put my name down as hundreds of Chagossian here in the UK. I don't know how many in Mauritius, but or the Seychelles. At that time, we had hope. We hoped that perhaps for once, this would be, the government would respect its promise. But afterward, in 2016, they came, they said, no, we can't because of financial burden to the taxpayer and the cost and for security reason. And then afterward, in November 2016, this financial package been announced in Parliament, £40 million. But you know, so far, 4 years gone. I'm not doing like a blame game here. Yeah, I'm talking what's really happened. I don't want to blame it. I don't know. I want to talk to really those policy makers, decision makers in the government, at the head of the government. Sometimes the thing is that before you announce something or you want to do something, you have to consult the people. They have to know. They are the one who knows better the needs of the community. Yeah. So 4 years, nothing had been done. And then now, suppose like to be recently about this announced for call for bids. Yeah. But the thing is that for all the time, even now, we are still being ignored. Whatever our proposal. So this has to stop. If really the government want to do something for the welfare, the well-being of the Chagossian, yeah, they have to start listening to us. Listen to us. We know what the needs of the community. Yeah.
So how would you like this? I mean, what has happened to the 40 million? That's really what people would be interested to know.
So far, according to a like freedom of information request that I've done, on the 3rd of July, I get a reply from the FCDO saying like, so far only over 500 and I think nearly £550,000 have been spent so far on mostly on heritage visit. Yeah. Apart from that, so we have like 39.5 million still in the government coffers. So.
And part of that is on these heritage visits. Can you explain what they are?
Yeah. So like every year, they have 2 or 3. They call it heritage visit, where actually Chagossian and their descent. Yeah, you have to register with the FCDO, and then you will go there a trip for 1 week. Is it 1 week or 1 week?
5 days.
Yeah, 5 days, where you will stay 1 or 2 days on Chagos, and then you will go on the boat to travel around the island like Taros, Banos, and Solomon Island. I had the opportunity to go there in 2011, but it was not in the same pack. It was not from the support package, yeah, that one was before. And what I can say as a Chagossian descent, for the first time I saw that when I went to the Solomon Island, I sat down, I see the beach, I said, oh my God, this is like in the Robinson Crusoe novel, yeah. I was so, and afterward I said, if I had the opportunity right now, I will go. As Jimmy mentioned earlier, the government, if you can't do anything for us here, allow us to go back. We will all go back. This is not our homeland, yeah? Our heart is where our grandfather and mother were born.
How do you think this 40 million could be spent? I know that there is a call for bids has just finished, actually.
Yeah.
It's the first call for bids I've seen to do with it. So that's just close, but I think there will be another one in the future. So I'm just wondering if the panelists have got anything to say about how they would like to see this money spent.
Yeah. We want the government to provide 2 cultural centre for the Chagossian in the UK. Obviously, where there are Chagossian in the UK, but mainly like in Crawley, because there's so many Chagossian. A cultural centre will help the Chagossian, you know, like a welcome office to help each other, for the elderly who can't speak English, to pass their knowledge, our tradition, our way of life. Chagossian are very good musicians, so a place, you know, to teach the children, to, you know, to promote our culture. And not just that, all the things we do, you know, we don't have a place to put them things. If we go to a center after that, we have to remove it, like the artwork, like Modest did. Look at this drawing. We don't have a place to put that. That's why we're asking for cultural center out of that 40 million, where we can actually help our community.
And when we say culture,
Yeah.
we don't mean going to the opera, do we? We mean
No, we mean
everything. Yeah.
obviously like from showing, you know, the kids, you know, like how, for instance, like to grate a coconut, because there's so many children who in the UK don't know that. And the elderly, you know, they're passing away with their knowledge. Like fishnet, you know, we can do all them things, but we need to learn, and we don't have a place to learn. That's why we're asking for a center, not just like for our culture, but for our well-being, for the elderly to meet and see, you know, their relative, because we have language barrier, and it will help.
Mylène, she produces lots of cultural activities in the town.
Because I think when they said about the 40 million, they need first to meet us, the group, and to know what we want, what is our need. But they do what they want. They do their plan, but we need to follow their plan, but they don't know our need. I think that is not good, because it's important to know what is our need and then start the project for the 40 million that they need to do first. But it's, I'm seeing it's the same thing like when they took our island. They do what they want, you know, because like they want the island, Mauritius want the island for the independence, UK want the island for their own facility, their own interest. But what about us?
Yes.
They never ask us
yes.
what we want, what is our problem. Yes. They never.
Having said that, this group have actually been trying to put your ideas across.
Exactly what we call the Chagossian voices.
Yes.
They need to listen to us.
Yes, and that conversation will continue.
It's like when I'm went in the Chagos on 2010. It's very painful because, you know, your country, it's like my mom, she went 2010 too. She said she born here. She just go like you go on holiday. You know how it's painful. You just go in your country where you born and to go like holiday. It's
Fiona has pointed
very
out
painful
a message here that Buyout team is inviting the community to shape bids. So Fiona, she remains keen to engage with the community so that the funding available is used to meet needs. So I think she's saying that, you know, keep telling them, and then we'll see. The proof will be in the pudding, what comes out of this. So thank you for those messages. Anyone got anything else to say on the 40 million or cultural centre or anything?
Yeah, and one other thing that we mentioned when we had this meeting with FCDO, yeah, video meeting, like funeral grant, yeah.
Oh, yes.
That's been mentioned by, I think, all the Chagossian group several times, yeah, when they have meeting. This is very important, you know, for us. Like here, they said Last time, one of the officials told us that, yeah, the government is giving some grant, but that one is insufficient. You talk about the well-being, about the welfare of the people, but at least you could, like, I don't know, take £1 or £2 million from this money and put it aside, because it's not easy here when you have a funeral, a relative passed away. It costs like £6,000. I don't know how much grant the government will give you, 1,000, so, and it £1,500, yeah. So if this money is really for the welfare, the well-being of the Chagosian, just listen to our voice, to our whatever we're expressing. This is the need of the community. It's not me that is saying that.
And that idea of community voice is an important one, which is why you put this group together, is that it's been long thought that the Chagossians haven't been consulted about things. And that leads into, there's a remark coming up here after Fiona's interventions. Thank you for those. We've got Julio here talking about the ICJ advisory opinion made at The Hague. And I think that is actually something they want to talk about, because that was another area where what I hear, because I meet a lot of Chagossians because I live in the locality and I've taught in the school here for a long time, and I know the community very well. And it's something I hear a lot about, this idea that no one's ever listened to them. So I think you've got something to say on that.
Yes, indeed.
Jean-Francois is going to speak. People might not know what the ICJ advisory opinion is.
Yeah, bear in mind, the Chagossian are people distinct from Mauritius. They are belongers and they are native on the island. And this can be identified by the culture, the food, and the languages. They are people came from Madagascar, Africa, the Seychelles, even some from Mauritius came onto that island. This is not a Mauritian island. And it's a shame as well, the ICJ, which is the International Court of Justice, when they did this advisory. And it mentioned the Chagossian Mauritian, which is completely wrong for saying that. And like I said, we all disagree with the premises where the fate of the island been tried to, well, the Mauritius been going on that fight without consulting the Chagossian. And again, there's some attendance and participation of handful of Chagossian, namely by the group refugee Chagos. It's been seem like they are representing all the Chagossian when that's not the case. And I think we need to emphasize the Chagossian has been denied by self to be communicated during the legal and the political journey on this.
Okay, has anybody else got thoughts on that, about this opinion, this ICJ opinion, which says that the islands should go back to Mauritius?
They say the island should go back to Mauritius, but they have not asked the Chagossian what we want to do. And all the Chagossian, they say they want like a referendum, ask them. It did happen as well when the UK gave the opportunity to the people in the Falkland Island to decide if they want to be with Argentinian or remain for the British administration, and they decide we can do this as well, the Chagossian. Why not? I mean, the island before Mauritius got independence, it was under British administration, and it still is. So I mean, ask us, ask the Chagossian what we want, and we will tell you.
Anybody else want to speak on that?
Yeah, like obviously, like Jean-Francois said, people need to stop confusing. Not every Chagossian come from Mauritius. And that's the reason why they should say like Chagossian is like Mauritian. And actually what the government is doing, which is wrong. People who's born in the Chagos, now they like in Diego Garcia or Peros Banos, they're putting born in Mauritius now, which is completely wrong. And I want to point that out that Chagossian come from Africa, Maldives, Seychelles, and Mauritius. So we're not all from Mauritius. And they should stop saying like the island's going back to Mauritius, so it's going to remain British. I mean, Chagossian is a nation, and they need to ask Chagossian what they want, not the Mauritius government or even the Seychelles government, because Chagossian are a nation from different places in the world.
So there's something as well I would like to add. I know it's not like a legal advice, was an advisory, but perhaps we should be looking into the vote as well, because there's a lot of bias from countries that have said yes to Mauritius. Again, Mauritius banging on about the chess. Yeah, we want the sovereignty. They have said clearly, when they got the island, they're going to lease this island with the US for 99 years, which makes sense. The Chagossians will never go back onto the island. And the Prime Minister of Mauritius has reaffirmed it again when Joe Biden was elected for the US president. They want to cut UK out of the deal and lease Chagossia for another 90 years. What about the Chagossian? We will never see our homeland again. And the other thing as well, the Mauritius government has passed, introduced a bill into the parliament trying to intimidate. We see that intimidation to the Chagossian, trying to criminalize anybody who talk about the sovereignty or challenge them on the Chagos Island.
How are they intending to do that?
Well, they are saying anybody try to challenge them, they are going to have an imprisonment of 10 years or a fine of 10 million rupees, which is about 200,000.
So this is a proposed bill in
Yes.
the Mauritian Parliament. Yeah.
But again, this looks like an intimidation. We know when the Chagossian was dumped in Mauritius in the 1965 and 68. The UK government has gave Mauritius some compensation to give the Chagossian for them to better their life, but most of it was taken by the Mauritian government. And we had people like Charlie Shaw and Lisa Talat who were fighting. You probably heard them early on. They got beaten. They got beaten by the police and the authority in Mauritius. And now they try to be clever by introducing this bill, try to intimidating us. But I think people should be aware of this as well.
Okay.
And the other thing that I would like to add, the irony is that, you know, with this bill, they won't like to silence anyone who are talking against Mauritian sovereignty. But the irony is that what they are doing actually with our brothers in Agalega, yeah? So this island been secretly given to India, yeah?
Yeah.
And everyone who is being born there, they have to get, every pregnant woman who will give birth, they have to go to Mauritius, and on their birth certificate to give birth, the child will be born in Mauritius. So in 25, 30 years, there will be no Agalian living on this island. So what it's doing is now the Chagossian story is repeating itself, but now being done by those who are supposed to be victims.
How do you know where one of the things is that no one really knows where the Chagossians are? There was a carelessness, to put it kindly, where this population just kind of was let loose, as it were, and people lost track of them. So how do you propose finding out where the Chagossians actually are?
I think maybe do like a census and find out where they are. There are a few now, well, there's some living in the UK, Seychelles, Mauritius, France, Switzerland. They're scattered all over the world. I mean, when they had their British passport, this is an opportunity for them to leave the slum of Mauritius to better their life. But maybe do like a census and find out. Again, I would like to iterate again, the government of Mauritius been saying about, from the advisory, that UK should end the colonial power. But I think this is hypocrite for Mauritius to say that. They got Agalega, Roderick, they're controlling them. They've been asking for autonomy and Mauritius has been refusing. Now Mauritius want to come and control Chagos as well. I think this is hypocrite for Mauritius to say that.
Somebody's highlighted the fact that there's racism in Mauritius and the UK, that it's not just a problem that there's, do you agree with that?
Yeah, correct. I mean, when the Chagossian came to Mauritius, they were nicknamed the Ilwa, like islanders. And everywhere where they go, they get called like Ilwa, which is like a derogatory name for them. And they're still subject to this. And when they went to Mauritius, they put all the Chagossian in a quarter, which called like Cité Ilwa, like quarter, islanders quarter. I don't think that was right. And if you are going to town or anywhere, if you go a taxi and you say to them where they're going, they refuse to take them. And they're still like subject to disadvantage in Mauritius. If you tell them where you live, you won't get a job. But I think this is something that needs to be addressed as well.
Yes. What I'm going to do, because we're moving up to 12 o'clock and we'll go on for maybe another 15 minutes or so. If you all think of what you'd like to say about anything at all, and I'll just read through some of these comments that are coming through, and that might, the song Pays Natal haunts me since the first time I heard it. I'm not of Chagossian descent. What will somebody writing about COVID? I won't read that. Better ask the government to allow us to return to live in Diego Garcia. Our future is at risk. By the way, I'm sorry that there's the comments coming up about the sound dropping out. Sorry about that. We are doing this on less than a shoestring in a rented office near the airport, and we're just relying on the Wi-Fi that's in the building, and it's a bit intermittent today. And the people who are here have been very kind to us by letting us come in here for a very generous deal. But it's been very useful coming in here and chatting. It's Ludovic Gabriel says it's heartbreaking how we are all still suffering today, where we just want our rights. All the generations should be given British citizenship and not a pathway citizenship like Hong Kong nationals. I also believe the spouse of Chagossians who have been married for more than 5 years should be given the same rights as they would be qualified for naturalisation if they were in the UK, because these people are not in their country. They were forced away from it by the British government. So I think there's an extra special duty on the British government to do something about this. It would be good if we were acknowledged like the Aboriginal are in Australia. Well, that's something that I know this group have been trying to do actually, but haven't got a reply to the emails they've been sending to the relevant bodies. But it's true. The UN really looks after the interests of nations, I think. And when you are a people within a nation or not a fully recognised nation, it may be less easy to be heard. Would working for the military forces appeal to Chagossians and have joint governance of the islands?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, like when you see Diego Garcia, there's about 2,000 people, 2,000 people living in Diego Garcia, and they're like from Philippines, some from Mauritius, and some from Sri Lanka. So why can't the Chagossian go to the island and work there? What's the reason?
Yes.
And I want just to say one more thing for all them native who's been suffering all them years. Like we all know the government said they're not going to give them compensation. But them people who can't afford to go anywhere else apart from stay where they are in Mauritius, them native who's never going to see the island, why don't the government give them a pension so they don't have to suffer anymore? The government said they need to come here to apply for national insurance number and all this, but they were not asked when they was kicked out the island. So why they need all this? I think the government need to give every native Chagossian, wherever they are in the world, because now they're all over 50s and they're going to die soon without seeing the island. I think the government can give them a decent pension every month. I think that will help the native, the Chagossian.
Or maybe when the compensation was given at the time, and we all know it was not given fully to the Chagossian. Maybe the UK government should look into it in transparency and find out what's happened to that money. We are British citizens, so the government have a duty towards their citizen to have a look. And
should I finish these remarks and then Frankie's going to talk? So Ludovic also says we need to have the right to access free education and training programs and should be given some kind of governmental grants so that we can manage to survive once in the UK. And then there's this, somebody's talking about who's working at the base, Mauritian and Filipinos working there. Why not Chagossians?
Yeah.
Some youngsters, we should not lose focus on our elders, which is what you were saying. Yeah, someone has said they should be allowed to live there without the need to work. Yeah, a lot of people saying they're just getting their heads around this very complicated story. Henry Smith says, well done on an impressive conference today. Apologies, I now have to leave to make another meeting, but please be assured I'll continue to fight for a return. Nationality and justice, best wishes, Henry Smith. I understand the US leased the island. Yes. It's time to exercise our sovereignty on the island. Sovereignty belongs to Chagossian people, not to UK. So a lot of people agreeing with what you were saying about where sovereignty should lie with the population, with the Chagossian population. I'd be interested in the recent complaint of apartheid lodged in the International Criminal Court. I don't know if you've heard about that. There is a case going through related to apartheid. I've heard a little bit about that. Is this a petition supported by the Chagossian Voices and UK Chago Support Association? I can't speak for UK Chago Support.
No, again, like I mentioned earlier on, there's about 5. You can count on your fingers how many people doing it in collaboration of the Mauritian government. There's a group called CRG, and none of the Chagossian has voted this group.
Okay, CRG. This is
group refugee Chagos, and they've been going to a lot of events, even like legal stuff, without asking the Chagossian. They self-proclaim themselves as the Chagossian leaders, but to be honest, I think they are doing those stuff for their own interests. With the Mauritian government, but I think all the Chagossians should be consulted before this thing happening. But yeah, there's a case going in the court at the minute from the president or the leader of group refugee Chagos and a couple of people in the session.
Yes, they're saying that apartheid was, it was an act of apartheid, if you like, removing the population of the island, comparing them, a black population with, for example, the population on the Falklands, who were treated quite differently. So, but I haven't heard enough to comment on that. I don't know if anyone else has. Then somebody says this has been brilliant. Is it being recorded? I'd like to watch the rest later on. I mean, this has been put together in a very ad hoc way, hasn't it? So maybe these guys are thinking of a website and all sorts of ways of telling their story. Please, could someone comment on the language? Is Chagossian Creole still spoken? Is it the same language as Mauritian Creole or different? So who'd like to speak on that?
Yes, a little bit. When I say to you, like for our language, they can say that the Creole is the same Creole, but when I see the different, they have some word is different with the use as well. When they came to Mauritius, it's not the same language like Mauritius used. But that kind of word sometimes make the Mauritian people that word is funny for us. That word is look like that, because if that word is the same, is that Creole is the same Creole like the Mauritian Creole, but we will be the same part of the same culture, the same things the Mauritian use, and we can use the same things, like we talk about our culture as well. You see the culture is different, but it looks like the Creole is adopted, like is coming from Mauritius and go there, they copy it, like, because they have African like descendant in Chagos, in Chagos Island. They have even Madagascar ancestral come from Madagascar. They have different like even Seychelles. But when you see that they have mixed the Chagossian have a mixed language. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarada, I think I know Sarada. She says that the Mauritian Creole dictionary was updated with a section on Chagossian Creole words. So it is being sort of written down a bit. A curious thing that many people would find difficult to understand is that even in Mauritius, that isn't the language that's used in schools. Even Mauritian Creole is not,
We don't speak Mauritian Creole in Mauritian Parliament.
They are ashamed to, the Mauritian government are ashamed to speak Creole.
Yeah.
And
Yes, it's weird, isn't it?
And the
Yeah.
majority of people don't
But
understand.
like,
you know.
we need to bear in mind as well when we say Creole, Mauritius Creole and Sagos, the Seychelles speak Creole.
Yes.
Exactly.
On Réunion Island, they speak Creole, even
Yeah.
that's a France island.
Yeah.
But there's Creole, even in French Polynésie, there's people speak Creole, but we can understand them.
Yes.
But the
Different dialect.
Chagossian, the Creole, it's a bit different to Mauritian Creole. But when you were saying about racism and discrimination earlier on, when you speak the Chagossian Creole in Mauritius, some of the Mauritian will laugh at you and will, we just laugh at you. Say, oh, what are you talking?
Yes, but it is odd to have a school curriculum, although I think it is possibly changing, but not delivered in the mother tongue, that it's delivered in foreign languages, basically.
Yeah.
So I agree, key aspect of preservation being that far from home is near impossible. But yeah, I mean, the culture, actually one thing that struck me about meeting this group was the extent to which they do preserve culture, even informally, that it's a very strong culture, and it, in order for it not to disappear, it would be great if there was a centre which they could have.
Yeah, that's why we're asking for centre. Like Chagossian traditional cooking don't consist of oil. We got our own way of cooking. And it's healthier, a lot healthier. And a lot of people don't know about Chagossian cuisine. Our food, how we eat. Like I said, later on we'll put on a picture to show you what a native Chagossian look like.
Yeah, and okay, when you finish.
Okay, just say some of James Elsmore, we run an international network of island stakeholders. Perhaps there could be an opportunity to raise awareness with our members. Okay, we'll look at that. We'll,
Sure.
I hope this doesn't disappear once the meeting is over. Is it true that there were limitations to what groups were able to make bids? Yes, there were areas, weren't there?
Yeah.
That it had to be within education, health, social care, culture.
Employment.
It's on the gov.uk website that you can find this. The first round of bids is only for this year, but it will be carrying on next financial year, I think. Fiona, I said what she said. She said they are inviting the community to shape bids.
Yeah, but
So Fiona, we've spoken to, she's very keen to make this happen.
I mean, the other problem we're facing, like they keep saying, put the bid through, but we have to go through other organization who probably will take maybe 60-70% of that money, and the Chagossian will only benefit of 30% or maybe 40% of that money. I'm not saying all the organizations are bad, but there is some genuine and decent organization, but to find them, it's really hard. So if the government could, do their homework and find all them things and then just give it to the Chagossian people, like we said, we've got a language barrier and we are struggling because we don't have the organization, to put that bid through. So if they really want to help us, that's what they need to do, not just keep telling us to put the bid through, because you need a planner, you need, like a proper work, and we don't have that. So if the government want to help us, they could do all that for us and just, come and ask the Chagossian, like, right, guys, what you want, and just provide it for us. That's what we're asking, facilitate it.
Totally agree with what Jimmy is saying, because actually I see that this call for bid won't work at all. They have to have like a different approach, different approach toward the community, down to earth, because as Jimmy said, this call for bids, it will perhaps favorize those organizations. We don't know who is behind, what are their agenda, if they really want what's best for the community, to work for the welfare of the community.
And there is a skill in writing bids.
And one thing, I want to specify on one thing. When KPMG did this feasibility study, according to them, there were like 10,000 Chagossian worldwide,
Yeah.
So here we don't have any census, but we estimate around 4,000-5,000 perhaps. Another perhaps 3,000 in Mauritius, I don't know about the Seychelles. So if we're talking about giving, giving citizenship to Chagossian, we're talking about a few thousand. What is this for the UK government? I'm not talking for 100,000 or 1 million Chagossian, That's nothing. The thing that they owe us, they have to do this, implement this. All the generation of Chagossian, as long as we're not let us go back to our homeland. This is natural. They have to do it. do it as soon as possible. I hope that Mr. Henry Smith, if you're still here, as soon as possible, this bill should be on the table, and we are right here to support you. We will back you fully on this, because we think that one of the ways that we can correct an injustice that's been going for so long. And also I would like to mention for our elders, as Jimmy said, all of them are mostly 60, 70, 80 years old. They deserve to live a peaceful, happy life. Give them a life pension. We're talking about less than 500 people.
We know,
waiting to
we heard as well that there's been some political issues, unrest in Hong Kong. And we heard the Foreign Secretary, Matt Hancock, has said they are willing to welcome 2 million Hong Kongese back in the UK, as Hong Kong is under British administration.
Yes.
We're talking about 500 Chagossians.
There's a question here. It says the Creole community has no power and no role in Mauritius, and that's why the government can kid off Agalaga people. And I expect a lot of people won't understand about the ethnic makeup of Mauritius and how power operates in Mauritius. Does anybody want to talk about that without being?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how they know the story of Mauritius. It's happened like about 40, 50 years ago. There was like a racial fight in Mauritius where there were like the Catholic, the Asian, they were fighting each other like in Mauritius. But it meant to be like a cultural country where this lot of people came from Africa, from India, from European to come and live in this country. But nowadays the Creole all look like they are like the slum in Mauritius. And if your name come from like a Creole family, you don't go anywhere. You don't go on the ladder. You always still like from the bottom in the queue. But this is how Mauritius operate.
Okay, yes, Fiona's saying we can't just hand over money, Jimmy. It has to be properly accounted for. So this is always a problem. It has to go through an organization. So then they're not handing out checks, signing checks.
done the same thing,
To
the
people.
control as
Yes, but Fiona,
So-
we're not talking about handing us money to us. You can control or whatever, if you have any delegate, any organization, they will be in charge of this money, because we don't want any penny from the government, taxpayers' money in our pocket. What we want is the project to be done.
Yes.
What we want, that's not our
Yeah.
goal, yeah? That's what we want.
Well, this is the first time I can ever remember
Mhm.
by engaging in this way. So maybe steps are being taken. But I noticed that somebody asked about, can we hear more about the artwork in the background?
That is,
No.
Go on with it.
Thank you for that, because all that work for the future, that's why we need the communities, we need a culture center to teach the young generation what we do before. Thank you.
Okay. FCO is playing dormant, sleeping. We need to strike them. Okay, there's some interesting comments at the end there, but Fiona once again saying that, yeah, they have to get bids from recognised organisations. But the difficulty is partnering it up. I mean, one thing I've noticed is that organisations sometimes work in their own interests and not in the interests of other stakeholders.
Not
who
all
they're
of them,
working for.
but
No, but that's a danger with it. So it's important that Chagossian voices are heard, and that's the key to all of this.
Can I add something? Maybe Fiona, you probably have the answer. Now we're coming up to the end of Brexit. Like I said, there are Chagossians that living in France, Switzerland, and all over the place. How is that 40 million going to benefit them? And we know we're doing the call for bid in the UK, but remember, like I said, this Chagossian is still like in Mauritius, Seychelles, France, and is that going to make it more complicated when the Brexit happened in December? Like for people in France and Chagossian in France.
Who knows?
Maybe like Fiona.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see if somebody might supply that. So we're approaching the end now, and we had rather a difficult start. We got here late for all sorts of reasons, and then all my videos disappeared into the cloud, which has never happened before. So we had to kind of remake videos, but they all have reappeared. And I'm really grateful to the group for inviting me to do this, and also to everyone who's come along and listened. And hopefully this is the beginning of a debate and a conversation and an understanding of who the Chagossians are. Because a lot of people talk about the Chagossians from a sort of political standpoint, but they're a bit of an abstraction. And I think it's time for the Chagossians to speak up and be heard and be understood, because it is a very complicated story, and everyone acknowledges an absolutely massive injustice, and one that UK is very ashamed of, I'm sure, but now needs to really sort out. Now, just going to go around the panel and just ask everyone to speak.
Yeah, I think the Chagossian voices, we're here now. I know like what's happened in the past, it's a wrong thing what they did. This is the opportunity now to make the thing right. And we don't have like an hostile against the UK government. If they want to come and speak to us, work together and put the thing right. That's what we're asking, somebody to listen and work with us.
Yeah, as the person mentioned, I think it's never too late. If really the government had the political will to correct a terrible injustice that's been going for 52 years, now is the time. Time to, I know what happened cannot be erased, yeah? What happened in the past, but you have the opportunity today. It was perhaps your forefathers, but take responsibility, stand up and take responsibility towards these people. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to thank you, because I have something little to say, like our heart is still bleeding inside because they have no medication for that to heal our heart. But inside, if you work hard, you can heal our heart. Thank you for anyone listen to us.
I want to say that here in the UK, you protect your animal. Your animal have a place, a family to live. But for us, the Chagossian people, we haven't. Our family are divided. Our family is still suffering. This is your fault for you both government. But now is enough. 15 years suffering. It's time to stop and listen to our voice. And we are a human people, that I want to say.
I would like to thank everybody who helped us and remind every Chagossian this is a platform for every Chagossian to come. You're all welcome, and it's about time for Chagossian to unite and fight together. And hopefully the government has heard us and make things right. Stop dividing our family by stop asking Chagossian Decent to pay for visa. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And hopefully we keep in touch. We can let you know about the work we're doing. And if any question, we are happy. If you want to drop us an email or get in touch with us if you want to know a bit more about what the Chagossian Voice is doing, or even to learn more on the Chagossian.
Yeah, I mean, thank everyone. Particularly, I would like to thank Patrick, because he's the one been helping us a lot during several years. Yeah, he's been doing that on his own. I know that since he started working in the college with Chagossian students, he knew about his story, and he's very been keen to help us. Big thank for him, Patrick. And I hope that today's conference will be the start of a bigger thing ahead. And surely we will have what we want for our community. Thanks.
We've left the meeting. No, we haven't.